Dear media, today we had a fruitful discussion, and of course, main issue is fighting against terrorism. The recent terrorist attack in France have challenged core European values: freedom of expression, pluralism, tolerance, and the rule of law were challenged but not defeated. The Council of the European Union, under the guidance of the Latvian presidency, has risen to the occasion, and this informal meeting of Justice and Home Affairs Ministers was dedicated to discuss the fight against terrorism. Discussions today were based on the Paris Statement of 11 January 2015, which was broadly supported by the Member States. Terrorism-related issues have been an agenda point for Justice and Home Affairs Council meetings over the last years. And as a consequence, numerous measures have been discussed, approved, implemented, and monitored. But it's also clear that we need to do more. We had thorough debate on a number of topical issues, and we agreed to issue a joint statement on further measures. The full statement has been distributed. However, let me point out some of them. We all strongly emphasize the need to build further work on already existing tools. We believe that it is important to provide a determined response at EU level. The necessity for the effectively coordinated and coherent approach is clear. We confirm our determination to create an effective EU PNR framework, which provides solid data protection safeguards without further delay. We reiterate the urgent need for further actions addressing radicalization on European Union, national and local level. The Internet plays a significant role in radicalization. In this regard, we must strengthen our efforts to cooperate closely with the industry and to encourage them to remove terrorist and extremist content. We strongly reconfirm our commitment to ensure swift and enhanced exchange of information and best practices between Member States. This involves all justice and home affairs agencies, in particular Europol and Eurojust. The joint efforts of this internal and external dimension in fighting terrorism, and in particular the phenomena of foreign fighters, is crucial. In this regard, the work of the Foreign Affairs Council is particularly welcomed. The increasingly unstable situation in certain parts of EU's neighborhoods, such as Libya, Syria, and Ukraine, is of great concern to EU security and requires special attention. We commit to ensure that our competent authorities reinforce exchange of information and develop further cross-border cooperation on fight against illegal trafficking of firearms. Today's discussions joint statement will be an input of Justice and Home Affairs Ministers for the discussion between heads of states and governments in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Commissioner. Thank you. Good afternoon. Allow me to start by expressing our thanks and our congratulations to the Latvian presidency for organizing this meeting here in Riga, and personally to my good friend, the Minister of Home Affairs of Latvia, Richard, with whom we have worked together for the last 5 months in order to be ready today to deliver. Let me start by telling you that after this meeting, I noticed that Europe is more united than ever in front of our common challenges. The recent terrorist attacks in France have challenged our core values and showed how serious the terrorist threat is to Europe. It is a severe and growing threat. Europe and the whole world have demonstrated solidarity with the French nation. We have shown our firm determination to defend our values against hatred, violence, and intolerance, and to uphold our ideals of freedom of speech, and thought, but also of tolerance and dialogue. To strengthen our efforts against terrorism, we need, first of all, to strengthen existing instruments. We already have many important tools in our hands and in place. Now is the moment to enhance them even more. This is why today, together with the European Union's ministers, we focused our discussion on 4 main areas where we can build on existing actions and measures. First, prevention of radicalization. The Commission will put all its efforts to continue to support Member States in preventing and addressing radicalization and other forms of extremism. The Radicalization Awareness Network is already very active in this field, and its future Center of Excellence will reinforce the effectiveness of ongoing projects and actions. Through the RAN, practitioners and the local level can exchange best practices and improve their response to a common challenge in different contexts. In addition to EU actions, it is vital that Member States work further at national level to tackle illegal content online. Last year already, we proposed to establish a forum with key players of the internet industry to discuss the challenges posed by online terrorist propaganda, and already organized a ministerial meeting which brought together EU Member States Ministers of the Interior and senior representatives of internet service providers. We plan to enhance this existing cooperation with the internet industry and to strengthen the commitment of social media platforms in order to reduce illegal content online. We are now taking this forum further by deepening dialogue with EU institutions, Member States, the internet industry and civil society in order to develop concrete, workable solutions. Second, information sharing. We have discussed how to increase the efficiency of the Schengen information system and how to reinforce cooperation between Europol and other EU agencies and the bodies in charge of evaluating threats. In fact, today the Commission has adopted new measures that improve the effectiveness of the Schengen information system for counter-terrorism purposes. There is a clear urgency to reinforce initiatives aimed at making relevant information available to all concerned law enforcement bodies. Different stakeholders will have to play an important role in the implementation of the future European security agenda, especially Europol. That is why we need to make sure that an agency such as Europol receives all necessary information from all Member States to deliver its added value in terms of intelligence and threat assessment. We also need to consider how to strengthen Europol's intelligence analysis capabilities on terrorism and radicalization-related threats, and further improving the flow of information and assessments between Member States and EU agencies. Third, identification of travel routes of terrorists. We have to be more proactive in monitoring suspicious movement across borders and to gather information with a view to detecting suspects, disrupting networks, and undermining terrorist attempts. We have to be able to anticipate and be preventive. To this aim, an EU passenger's name record directive is necessary. It's necessary to enhance substantially the security of all people living in Europe. Following the recent tragic events, European citizens are expecting us to move forward on this issue. Let me underline my willingness to work together with the European Parliament and the Council, headed by the Latvian presidency now, to formulate a legal instrument that is effective and respects fundamental rights. We also need to monitor the use and effectiveness of the Schengen Border Code and assess any need for improvement. As I already mentioned, we have strengthened the Schengen information system. SIS will now be able to reinforce the efforts of member states to invalidate personal identification documents of persons who may join terrorist groups outside the European Union. What we are doing now is developing common risk indicators and criteria for entering relevant alerts in the Schengen information system. 4. Firearms. Over the past years, serious efforts have been made by the European Commission and the Member States to curb the use of explosives for terrorist attacks. But the latest terrorist attacks and plots have shown that the use of firearms, and often very heavy firearms, needs more attention. We have in place legislation on the illicit manufacturing and trafficking and on legally owned civilian firearms. We are currently reviewing the implementation of this existing legislation on firearms, and we intend to submit to the European Parliament and the Council a report on the situation and whether any proposals for legislative or non-legislative actions are needed. Finally, we must ensure greater exchange of information on firearms between member states and with Europol, Eurojust, and Interpol. Conclusion. Needless to say, I remain determined to support a strong and united response at EU level against terror threats. We need a balanced approach between security and openness. Security is essential for our democratic societies. It is a prerequisite for our citizens' well-being and a prerequisite for citizens to enjoy their rights. At the same time, we need to make sure that no community feels excluded from our European society. As part of my portfolio this year, I will be presenting a European agenda on security in May. In addition to that, we are also working to produce a European agenda on migration. Today's informal council will also offer a good opportunity to discuss the most recent developments in the area of migration and asylum. During lunch, I hope we shall have lunch today, we will hold an informal exchange of views on the management of migratory flows. We will assess the current situation and identify how our response to the constantly evolving strategies of smugglers could be improved. I look forward to hearing Member States' views and expectations as we prepare the forthcoming European agenda on migration. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Commissioner. With that, we'll open the floor to some questions. And Mark, you were first here in the front. You will get a microphone. Okay, it's going to take a while. It's not on.
It's okay.
Can we have the second microphone?
I think it works now, yeah. I have more IT skills than I thought. Mark Beberkorn, Volkskrant, the Netherlands. I have a question to both of you regarding the conclusion to cooperate more closely with the industry, internet industry, to remove to remove extremist and terrorist content. Commissioner, you talked about concrete workable solutions. It's a little bit vague for me. What are you thinking about? Is it a kind of a code of conduct? And if so, does this need to be monitored? Thanks a lot.
The answer is very simple. As I told you before, we just started a dialogue with internet providers. This dialogue started, but a new meeting will take place very soon in Brussels. So we're not in a position to make any announcement today. One thing is sure. We are determined to give an end to all these means that unfortunately have been used by certain groups in order to radicalize people. We have the means, we have the political will. Now, as I told you, we have an open dialogue with the internet providers in order to find the final framework in order to give an end to this problem.
Thank you. There was a second question over there in the end. Yes, the microphone is coming.
Christian Spielmann, AFP. May I ask my question in French? It's okay? Okay. Monsieur Avramopoulos.
Mr. Avramopoulos, you've said that you're going to present this agenda for security at sea. Is this to counter the rumours that you wish to remain in the European Commission till the end of your period? Now, as far as the European Parliament is concerned, they have many demands. What exactly are you prepared to change? And what about all the partners round the table in Council, including the UK? Would they agree with you?
Question. First of all, as I said before, we are all committed to advance on the file without losing time. Member States, European Parliament and us, Commission, we have a role to play in that. And we are working very swiftly in order finally to have an EU PNR. Today during this meeting I found out that all member states agree with this guideline. An efficient PNR system with high data protection safeguards is possible. As I said before, whatever has to be decided will be in accordance with basic principles, mainly the most important one which has to do with fundamental rights. So, yes, we move ahead. As far as your first question is concerned, I think you know something that I don't know.
Thank you. Yes?
It's Lucia Avellán with El País. I would like to know if the Commission, the Council, or any of the delegations recommended as one of the measures against terrorism withdrawing the ID documents to those suspects of wanting to travel to the conflict zones. Thank you.
Minister?
Yes, I will answer this question. This is one of administrative measures in order to prevent potential foreign fighters from traveling if the person is suspected of willing to travel abroad to join the ranks of foreign fighters. However, there is no overarching European mechanism for that, and we need a legal framework to follow this route. Yes, we have committed to thinking about this problem. There are certain countries who have nationally already introduced such measures, and we are thinking about the European procedure.
Before. Schengen remains a very, very useful tool in our hands. By enhancing Schengen's role, I believe that we are in a position to take and implement more efficient measures. As far as the invalidations of personal identification documents are concerned, who might join terrorist groups outside the European Union, you all understand that Schengen tools are very, very efficient in our hands.
Just waiting for the translation to end. Yes, you already have the microphone.
Yeah. Christian Feld, ARD German Television. Mr. de Kerkhove proposed a EU-wide common search expert group for searching content on the web and giving advice to the companies. Did you talk about that, and with which result? Thank you.
First of all representatives of agencies, including the coordinator, they submit their ideas, they propose. It is up to us to study and come back with a decision. So today, the floor is open for everybody to present his ideas, given the fact that they are very experienced and they were very, very useful in order, all of us, to understand what is happening on the ground. But as I said before, their ideas, proposals, they are presented today, but it will take some time to study them and see whether it can be adopted or not.
Thank you. We'll take one last question from over there.
Enrique Sabeto from the Spanish newspaper ABC. It's just another question of the same subject to the Commissioner. It's concerning the rumors that are supposing that you can be a candidate for the presidency of the Republic of Greece. Do you hear this kind of rumors, and in this case, what do you think about that?
First of all, one of my principles was and is not to make comment on rumors. The second, it was given as an answer to your colleague before. Maybe you know something that I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Minister. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you in the evening after the Eastern Partnership meeting.